Hello and good evening. Welcome to another edition of Community Crossfire. I'll be your host sitting in again for the 3 weeks in a row, Ugundy Jacobs. And that's right, you heard it straight from Will Smith himself. Never count yourself out. Always believe in yourself. Dream on, dream on. No matter who tells you what you can't do, always believe in yourself. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We have a nice lineup for you. I was supposed to have two guests, but one called out, had an illness in his family, so we want to send our condolences out to Coach Moon. Tonight I have with me one of Wilmington's living legends, none other than Mr. Richard Johnson. I brought him on and was going to have Coach Moon on because, as many of you out there know, I'm an event coordinator, two-time Delaware Black Promoter of the Year for concert promotions. We provide a lot of innovative and creative events all throughout the city. And this coming August, we're going to launch the Wilmington's Legends Ball. And that's going to be similar to like an adult prom, where we're going to be honoring two of the most influential and recognizable organizations in the city of Wilmington. We all are familiar with them, and those two organizations are none other than Howard PS Trojans, with the football players and the cheerleaders, and also H. Fletcher Brown's Boys and Girls Clubs. Those two organizations have impacted so many lives throughout the city, the county, and the state. Anyone who was anyone has participated or walked through those doors of those organizations. So we're going to honor those two men along with some of their co-workers, fellow directors of the organizations who have impacted our lives. But mainly those two, and Coach Moon and Richard Johnson, who both has been a significant role model in my lives and so many others throughout the city. So I'd like to let everyone know that there will be more information coming out later on in the months, because we will be reaching out to those interested in serving on committees and lending a helping hand to honor those living legends who has played a major part in our lives. There will be some scholarship funds towards the program, who are benefiting the program, and we just want to begin a legacy that goes on. Give folks their love and their just due while they're alive. So once again, I'll be sharing more information as weeks come. You can find me on Facebook under Ugundy Jacobs. That's U''G''UNDI. And Abin, when you get a chance, can you put my name up there if you can? Because it's two of us, myself and my son, so I want to make sure that you get the name spelled correctly. And I'll share that with you some more in the show. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my first guest. He's no stranger to Wilmington. He's been around from yonder. He's touched so many lives, male, females, young, old. His name is Mr. Richard Johnson. Rich, how you doing, Rich?
Oh, thank you, Gunny.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, and thanks for having me. I appreciate you being here.
Yes.
And also, you're one of my mentees, and hey, I'm so proud of you.
Yes. Thank you. So, Rich, you, as I stated, in our opening, you've meant so much to so many lives. You've impacted so many young adults' lives. Now in 2014, I'm sure it's a big difference between now and years ago. What are some of the things that you are pleased with and some of the things that you are displeased with in our community?
Well, some of the things I'm pleased with. Some of the things that I'm pleased with is, number one, to see the growth and development of some of the young men that have come through the Boys Club, have come through the Trojan organization, that I happen to have affiliation with, and to just see young men like yourself. We have police officers, we have doctors, we have lawyers, we have guys that just work hard from every avenue, and just the guys making a positive contribution to society. I mean, this is what I like and I do like, for instance, some of these guys now are giving back to the community.
Right.
And that's what I like. That's one of the
Okay.
things I like.
How about some of the things that you're displeased with?
Some of the things that I don't particularly like is that the sense of family is not there. Like when you guys were going to club, it was like the families were more stable. I think back in the 80s, you know, hardworking parents, and also the kids knew that they were loved.
Right.
Okay, and also I think parents had more vision for their kids. For instance, like Richard Williams, he's a tennis player. Serena and Venus Williams' dad.
Right.
If you notice, Richard had a vision for his daughters. He told everyone that they were going to be number one, and no one believed him. But Richard didn't let anyone disprove that. And if you look at Serena and Venus now, they're number one.
Yeah.
So right now, the parents need to have a vision for their kids.
Right.
You know, when they're just coming up, when they're in elementary school,
Right.
you're going to graduate. You're
Right.
going to college.
Right.
You know, you get to do this. You have to do this.
Right.
And I don't think that that's prevalent now.
Right.
And I would like to see more of that. I would like to see some of the younger ladies, just carrying themselves in a more respectable manner,
Right.
and the guys respecting them more.
Yeah.
Because we get all these hip hop shows where they look at women.
Reality shows.
Yeah, the reality shows where
Right.
they look at women for their, dadas and everything like that. And women, you want guys to look at you for what's inside of your head.
Right.
And not
Not on
just
the outside of
just,
your
it's
body.
not on the outside. So
Right.
that's what I don't like about today.
Yeah. Well, I'm sitting here laughing because I remember very vividly how I was growing up, and I got a little big in the chest. It was me and my mother home at the time.
Right.
You know, my father, he didn't live with us, but he was around.
I understand.
And I was getting a little beside myself. So my mother, she said, "Well, I got something for you. I got something just
I know
for
what you're
you."
alluding to also.
You know what I mean?
I know where you're
so
going.
she knew I love coming to the club every day.
Exactly.
But you and her had a close relationship,
Correct.
whereas though she looked upon you as a big brother as well.
Exactly.
So she took me to the boys club for you to discipline me.
That was common back in the day. That's
So
very
she
common.
brought me in the room, and I guess she told you what I was doing or what I was trying to do.
Okay.
So you told her, to go ahead and excuse yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
So she went on and excused herself, and I know it crushed her
Right.
because she knew what was about to take place.
Right.
But you told her kindly, go ahead, leave, close the door.
Right.
And so you walked up on me, you want to be bad, huh? You want to be tough. So you grab me all up. So I'm squirming because you used to put them grips on a brother, right?
Correct. Right.
And everything just fall apart.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I respected that, and I definitely appreciated that because you made sure that we was on point, that we had a respect level to our parents and our adults. But that's missing nowadays.
Yeah, but
First of all, parents don't allow others, let alone strangers,
Right.
to correct their kids anymore.
But see, back in the day, it was you could trust people more.
Right.
I remember, the guys in the boys' club, they could stay at my house.
Right.
After basketball games, they go to my house.
Yeah, and you never were brought up on no charges of molestation or none of that. No
They knew that wasn't
nonsense.
happening. They knew they
Yeah,
trust me.
you was a
Because
man's man.
They knew they could trust me.
Right.
And plus, they knew every day when they came to the club what their kids were doing.
Right.
I remember when I used to take kids on trips, going to Great Adventure or wherever, I would always go with them. I never had to go. I
Right.
never had to go.
Right.
But it was important for me to watch the kids.
Right.
I was watching the people who were watching the kids.
Right.
So when the kids went to the restrooms, I went into the restrooms first
Right.
to see who was in there.
Right.
Because I knew I was accountable for every kid.
Right.
So I had to count the kids on the bus when they're leaving, whatever rides were on. I
Right.
was standing at one ride to the next ride so the kids wouldn't get lost.
Right.
I mean, I treated every kid in the boys' club like they were my son.
Right.
And I think you guys know that. My son came to the club, and I didn't treat him any different than I treated you guys.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think that we don't have today.
Yeah.
And also, what's different now is that when I was the director of the boys' club, we didn't have girls.
Mm.
And I think when they started letting girls miscegenate with the boys,
Right.
I think that was a problem.
I believe so too.
Because they didn't have that strong leadership. And girls tend to act different when they're around boys.
Right.
Boys' behavior changes when women are around. So when they incorporated the girls into the boys' club, I think they should have perhaps brought the staff from the girls' club. I think the boys club would have been a lot better.
So
the
you mean
programs
in terms of them being trained and taught
yeah,
by
exactly.
females?
Yeah, they should have
Well,
been. They should
women?
have brought those people that were properly trained
Okay.
into the boys club, into Brown Boys Club.
And still connected those
It's
in
still
the same
connected.
building?
You can. It would have been all right if they brought that same leadership.
Right.
But they just didn't have it. You know how like sometimes boys react different around a woman.
Right.
Like a teacher or Gundy sit down.
Right.
And then, but if a guy's there, you
Right.
know, they're going to
And
react
just
different.
confront them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because, you know, I not only worked at the Brown Boys Club, I was director at Fair School.
Right.
I was athletic director of Fairs.
Right.
So when I first went to Fair School, everyone was telling me, you know, it was a lot of chaos and confusion. Everything was going on. The kids were fighting all the time.
Right.
So when I tried to organize programs, they were telling me this is not going to happen because they fight all the time.
Right.
I said that's under your watch.
Yeah,
That's
so
not happening on my watch.
What was the method to your madness at first?
Structure.
Right.
Just the more structure, the more structure. Once you give young men structure and then also I taught them who they were.
Right.
You know, we had Black History, had someone come and teach them Black History.
Yeah.
People coming to teach them chess. They had yoga. They had people coming from Delaware. They had people from Ken Wesley from Delaware Opera House,
Right.
you know, downtown.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we had people come in.
Yeah.
So, but when they saw that, you know, hey, I was tough, but I still did those other things, it was
Right.
okay.
Right.
Now, if I got out there and just played volleyball and I didn't do any physical things, they wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
But then today you have a lot of people that have these programs, but they don't interact.
Right.
You know, I go to some of the community centers, they throw out a ball. They throw
And
out a
just
ball.
let 'em go.
And let them go.
But another thing that I don't like about a lot of the organizations and programs nowadays is the kids have gained like a self entitlement, whereas though everyone on the team is going to play, is going to participate, or you're going to get a T-shirt, you're going to get a trophy. But when we were coming up, you had to earn your keep. So you had to practice, you had to work hard, and you had to produce in order for you to participate. It wasn't because your mother or your father was so-and-so and such and such, or you came from a certain kind of background that you was guaranteed a position on the team and play. But back then you had to earn your way. And I see nowadays there's a lot of youth that they don't go through anything, so therefore they feel as though they belong. How you feel about that?
Well, I can give you a scenario. When I used to coach the Trojans, Lenny Rams, he was a great guy. He helped us, you know, he gave money to the organization. It got us started, him and his wife.
Right.
And his son, one day his son didn't play, didn't get in the game. So he got a call, he called me, Rich, you got to get my son in the game. My wife is very upset about it, this and that. I said, Lenny, you know, you're an athlete, former athlete, you played at Delaware, you played center, you was an outstanding player. And you know that, you know, we have to play the best people.
Right.
I said, when his time comes, I will put him in. I don't want to put him in an embarrassing situation to embarrass himself. But then when he got the time, he excelled.
Okay.
And then he was happy, and his wife was happy because because we would have put him. I didn't want to put him in a situation where
When he
failed.
wasn't prepared.
Where we would fail.
Right.
I didn't want him to fail.
Okay.
So he understood that, and I just think that some of the coaches, they just have to explain it to them. You can't coach for money, and then like teachers, and we're like we're servants.
Right.
You know, teachers are servants, policemen are servants, nurses are servants, doctors are servants. You're a servant. You know, so you know we're here. You know, God put us here to serve the people.
Most
so you got to
definitely.
remember why you're here.
Right.
And so if you're in the
purpose.
field for money or teach for money, if you do anything if you do this primarily for money,
Right.
you're in the wrong field.
Most definitely.
So-
Most definitely.
So that's
So, if at like this day and time, right? If you let's hypothetically say, if you were the director of the boys' club, right? With all of the shootings and killings and things that's going on in the community, what would you do differently?
well. What I would do differently, number one, I would be out in the street. I would be out in the street talking to all the young people, all
Right.
the young people. Kids know, and they're not kids, but young people know what young people like to do.
Right.
And I will find out what they like to do.
Right.
So and then you have to give it to. You have to. So I used to get a lot of programs from kids, and I was just innovative about it.
Right.
I would just change it, but I would do their program. Okay. For instance, I remember when they used to play football, electric football games.
Right.
Okay. So I had a league. I had a clock, guy with a striped shirt,
Right.
referee, organize it.
Right.
And I did the same thing at Ferris. I had structure.
Right.
So that's what I was doing.
So I mean, nowadays, you know, kids, it's all about videos, and what they see and do on the videos, they mimic in real lives. with the machine guns and things of that nature.
Yeah, but
how can you?
I think if you get them at an early age,
Right.
and I would take the computer and teach them how to make apps where they have possibility to make money.
Right.
And I would do it like that.
Yeah.
Just teach them how to make applications and things like that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have any destructive things. I mean, even my son today.
Right.
My son never had a toy gun.
Mm-hmm.
I was never for that. Never giving a kid a toy gun. Because if you give him a toy gun, what is he going to do? What is he going to do when he gets older? He's going to want a real gun.
Yeah.
So I've never been a proponent of that.
Yeah. Well, I know that you started me out on my entrepreneurial spirit, because
Right.
we used to sell hot dogs and everything else for the Saturday intramural games.
Correct.
So, you used to say, Gundy, listen, I just need you to come here when you're not playing and make sure we stocked up, make sure, the money is counted for, yada, yada, yada. So that kind of put me off on my own entrepreneurial spirit.
You and OP also? OP
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
OP
But
too.
what's up, OP? How you doing? OP, he has a show coming up
Okay.
in Atlantic City, so shout out to OP.
Yeah, because I remember OP down Prices Run Park. When I was coming up, you remember we used to have basketball leagues down the park. And so, there were no fight, we never had a fight, never. We never ever once had a fight.
Yeah.
So I told OP, hey, OP is hot. Why don't you go buy some sodas?
Yeah.
So I used to go buy sodas and each double, triple the price. We didn't care because we were thirsty.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned Price's Park. Now, some of the most infamous, notorious
Athletes. Right, every
scholars,
Exactly.
gangsters, players, everything you could think of comes from
Prices
Run Park.
Prices Run Park.
Some of our greatest legends were born and raised and hung out in Prices Run Park. What's some of your fond memories of Prices Run Park?
Prices Run Park, I remember the skating ring at Prices Run Park.
Mm.
The skating ring I used to have, I used to enjoy the skating ring. I used to enjoy the swim meets they had. I used to go, just stand at the fence and watch the swim meets.
Right.
Then I remember when guys like Bill Young used to play basketball and Dave Brown and
Right.
a whole lot of, these guys, I looked up to them.
Right.
So, and then they were my role models because they kept me out of trouble.
Right.
And then the males in our community were positive.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, Wilby Fletcher, he would talk to us, okay? I had Bill Young. We had Major Harrison. We had Bill Hallman. We had Mr. Harris, Mr. Truman Harris.
Okay.
We had Mr. Rob Jenkins, Mr. Bradford Marshall. All these guys were influential in my life.
Right.
All these men.
Right.
Like my dad, my dad wasn't around. So these men were my role models.
Right.
So this is what made me want to give back because of the strong leadership that I had. Hicks Anderson. I went to Kingswood Community Center.
Right.
I played, basketball for Kingswood. Hicks Anderson used to throw balls at us.
Yeah.
But it wasn't personal. It wasn't personal.
Right.
It's just, but we always won.
Right.
But he not only taught us how to win in sports, he taught us how to win in life.
Right.
So when I coached basketball in the boys club, kids would tell you they were on my team. If they came, if I told them to be there at 9 o'clock,
Right.
and they weren't there, we'd leave.
Okay.
We had a championship game in Trenton one time. Our best player was running down the street.
Yeah.
I said, let's go.
Yeah.
They knew. In the other situations, Stan Crawley played for us. I know Stan don't want me to put him on blast like this,
Yeah.
but Stan Crawley.
I want some of the brothers from that era who come up under Rich to give us a call, chime in when we open up the phone lines, and give us some of your stories about the old H. Fletcher Brown days, because I know that there were no other days like H. Fletcher Brown. I was just at a friend of mine's, Bo Parks. He had a milestone birthday maybe a month or two ago.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, he just graduated from ITT Tech, so I want to definitely give him some love and some kudos.
And he and I, we used to talk about
Yeah.
him going to school, and I told him
Yeah.
how it was necessary for him to complete school.
Yeah, but I was at his birthday party
Okay.
in the basement, and a guy there talking about, he said he was from Jackson Street Boys Club.
Right.
So my competitive antennas went straight up because I'm from H. Fletcher Brown.
Right.
And if you from H. Fletcher Brown, you don't back down from anything. So I told him, he was playing ping pong, talking trash, because he was playing some guy that really couldn't get down, talking about, man, this is that Jackson Street Boys Club stuff. So I told my lady before, he said, what?
Right.
So I instantly took my jacket off and went to town on him. I said I had to represent H. Fletcher Brown.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, you guys put so much, y'all molded us to be so competitive on every level and everything that we did. it meant so much to all of us because from the moment that you stepped into the boys club, you knew that you had to remove your hat.
Right.
There were repercussions and consequences for just literally having a hat on.
Right.
You had to take your hat off. You couldn't even go to the game room without going to the library to check in to either do your homework where you had mentors and student aides helping you with your homework.
Right.
Then you had the game room and the art room, the swimming pool, just had everything. And I believe that now, when I go to H. Fletcher Brown's Boys Club, even though it still has the amenities, it doesn't provide the services. And I know that nowadays the kids, not more so now than then before, I really see that now they really truly need those type of services.
Okay.
How do you think it could be given to them in terms of the leadership at the club as well as the support from the administration, the politics of the scenes?
Well, I just think that whole arena, I'm not pleased with it, but I don't like to, denigrate or talk about negativity if I don't have anything good to say.
Right.
But for instance, I'll talk about Jackson Street now. Jackson Street should be open. There's no way Jackson Street should be closed. And I blame this on the adults. This is not the kids. This is the adults.
Always.
And I think if the Jackson Street was open, I think we'd have less crime in the area. I mean, you heard that old saying, a kid with nothing to do is going to find something to do.
Well, the Browns Boys Club is open, but we have crime in that area.
Yeah, but I think we just need a little more structure. I think a little more structure. People from, if you notice, for instance, if you look at some of the community centers, like for instance, just take Hicks Anderson. Miss Boone used to work there, John Shee used to work there. People from that community, they knew the community, they know the kids. So when you can say, George, don't do this, that means a lot.
Right.
That means a lot. When you can call someone by their name, that means a lot.
Right.
So and they don't have that anymore. They don't have that now. So that's
so basically it's all foreigners that's coming into our community.
Exactly.
Working in these positions.
They don't know them. They don't know the kids. They don't know, they have no sense of community. So you can look at over West Center City. What's her name? The statue of I can't think of her name right there. The statue of West Center City.
I forget the name of that.
Miss Chambers.
Miss
Helen Chambers.
Yeah, Miss Chambers.
I mean, as she could look back on and see what's going on there, she would turn over.
Right.
Because she was just a pillar for that community.
Right.
And it's just like when I go by there and I don't see any of the people working there or doing anything, I have a problem with that. And it's even over over the boys clubs and Jackson closed. But you have to have people that are from the community, from the area, that know the community, have history. Just for instance, I remember I was a member of the boys club when I was little, but when I was a certain age, I couldn't go in Brown. Okay. So me, I'm very competitive, but I've always been competitive. So I remember, I was going to Del State. I stopped going to Del State. And I was playing football. I was football star at State. Then I started making money. I said, man, I started making money at General Motors. I said, Dad, the purpose of going to school is to make money. I'm making money. Why should I go back to school?
Right.
But I was young. I didn't know anything.
Right.
So I'm making all this money. Right? So then.
You still make money.
Nah. So anyway, so I got sidetracked. Because initially when I went to Del State, I wanted to be a lawyer.
Right.
I got caught up in football.
Right.
Like that. So then I'm working at General Motors, making all this money. Then after a while, I worked at General Motors, and I said, wait a minute, hold up. Is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? No, I don't think so.
Right.
So I quit. Oh, you can't quit? So they wanted me to be a foreman. They had, Manny Jones come looking for me. He said, no, Rich, they want to make you a foreman. I said, this is not what I want to do.
Right.
So then I quit, messed around. Then I started working over electric hose and rubber. Electric hose and rubber, I'm over there. Then one summer, they had these guys come in. These white guys start coming in. These Caucasian came in. And he was giving them my job.
Right.
And gave me a harder job. I said, well, what's going on? No, he's going to do this. I said, wait, hold up. He's not smarter than me.
Yeah.
So I quit.
Yeah.
So the guy said, you can't quit. I'm done. I am done. So then I went to the boys club. I went over to the boys club, and because I had been a former member of the boys club, and I knew everything. So I'm like a young guy going in.
Yeah.
Oh, you physical director. You can't be physical director, but I already knew.
Right.
See, I already knew you could fake it till you make it.
Right.
and so I could do everything they could do anyway. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So I just had to learn the little paperwork and program a little bit better.
Right.
But as far as running activities,
Right.
I can run the activity.
Okay.
So when I came in there, and I'm only a couple years older than the guys that I'm
That's in
I'm
there.
coaching. I'm
Right.
coaching these guys. They're bigger than me, but
Right.
but they're afraid of me because they don't know I'm only like 2 years older than them.
Yeah.
So then we start.
But your presence meant much more.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But I lived over that area then. This is when you say Jackson and Brown, I used to be director of Jackson too.
Oh, okay.
I started out at Jackson.
Yeah, you was also director of Drexel, correct?
Yeah, Drexel University. Yeah.
Okay, what was that experience like?
Okay, let me tell you about this experience first, but let me just digress a little bit. So in the boys club, so I used to tell people, I remember y'all wouldn't let me in.
Right.
Now I'm running everything. I'm the boss.
Right.
And I used to tell the board, I remember y'all didn't let me in. I'm the boss. The same thing when I went to Del State.
So back then you didn't know me. Huh?
Yeah, you didn't know me. So then after that, when I went to Del State, this guy told me, he said, yeah, freshman, I'm going to take your spot. I said, oh, no. I said, I'm going to have yours. That Friday I was starting.
Right.
Starting at Del State.
Right.
So I've always been competitive. And then, I was athletic director affairs, as I told you. And then I went back to college because I had a deal with my son.
Right.
I said, who am I to tell you to go to college when I didn't finish myself?
Right.
So I said,
okay. You had to lead by example.
Yeah, so I said, okay, we got a deal. I'm going back. I'm going to go back and finish like that. And I went back and finished. And then after I went back to school, finished school, I had the opportunity to be director of Drexel University downtown.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I used to ride through town and see you.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what's going on?
So, I'm director, I'm in charge of the classes, setting the classes up, the professors, students running in, Mr. Johnson, my grade, the professor did this. I said, yeah, little me. I remember y'all said I couldn't do this. I said, I'm competitive. I could do anything I want to do. Because, that's how I was taught. I just believe I could do anything I wanted to do.
That's like the opening clip, the opening promo from Will Smith in the Pursuit of Happiness.
Okay.
In our community, a lot of times we have a lot of dream killers.
Right.
They could be from as close as your family, your extended family, or your next door neighbor, or just some of your buddies. Nowadays, when someone tells you that you can't do something, it really stunts a lot of folks' growth. Because I don't see some folks, not all folks, having that desire and passion to fight through it.
Right.
Is that a trained skill or bought skill? Or learned skill?
It's a learned skill. Because I just know for me, for instance, you have to remember this. There's something that's called Guju. It's called Guju goals.
Right.
It's like go up, give up. Certain things that you want to do, right? You tell everybody because they're going to go tell everybody. You don't care if they tell.
Right.
You don't care. Then there's certain things that you just tell a few people. Okay. Then there's certain goals you don't tell anybody until you attain those goals.
Right.
Those are goals that you just you don't tell anybody because you have certain people that are your friends.
Right.
They don't want you to surpass them.
Right.
Like crabs in a barrel. You want to keep them down here with us.
Yeah.
So you got to remember that.
Yeah.
So, don't let anyone hold you back. And I just always believe that no one can tell me what I couldn't do.
Right. Now, around the way, there's always been a challenge, especially coming through H. Fletcher Brown's Boys and Girls Club.
Exactly.
And I know you've seen a lot of solid athletes, prime athletes come through there.
Right.
Now, I know in the barbershops, they always talk about some of the best players, yada, yada, that's come through there. I'm going to mention two names, and I want to get your take on who would you pick and why? A.J. English, Mark Harris.
Okay. Well, they're two different type players. One is Kevin Durant, and the other one is LeBron James.
Who is who?
I would say A.J. is like Kevin Durant.
Okay.
And I would say Mark is like LeBron James.
Okay.
So it's a matter of style, whatever style you want. So I couldn't tell you which one I would pick because it's a matter of style who you like.
All right.
Some people like Michael Jordan. Some people like Kevin Durant.
That's a great answer. You running for office too?
No.
You can't go wrong with neither one of them.
You can't go wrong with either one of them.
Yeah, that's like I would say Martin Luther King or Malcolm X.
That's it. It depends on hey. Some people want to eat with one fork. Some people eat with five. So it depends on what you like.
Yeah.
Right? And both of them were effective in what they did.
Exactly.
And both Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, they were young leaders. They were 26 when they were leading people.
Right.
With Malcolm X.
Martin Luther King. Young.
And here we knew they were all 26 years old.
Yeah.
And see, this is what we need now. We need young leaders because we have a lot of old leaders right now. We have a lot of old gatekeepers now that need to pass the torch.
Do you think that a lot of those same older leaders are hesitant or resistant of allowing other young leaders coming through?
You know how change is. People don't like change.
Yeah. That's the most resistant factor in the world.
Yeah, they don't like change, and that's it. They don't mean any ill will, but they just, you know, like when you look at your older people, like, you know, your grandmother and people like that, they don't want to move.
Right.
You know, they don't want to move. You can say,
Right.
here's a new house. I don't want to move.
Right. I'm staying here.
I'm staying here because they
Yeah.
feel comfortable where they are. And that's,
Yeah.
and that's all it is with
Yeah.
some of the older, you know, older people.
Yeah.
They need to pass the torch.
Yeah. Well, on that break, on that note, we're going to take a short break and come right back, and we're going to open up the phone lines in a minute.
I come here tonight and plead with you. Believe in yourself and believe that you're somebody. And as I said to the group last night, nobody else can do this for us. No document can do this for us. No Lincolnian Emancipation Proclamation can do this for us. No Kennysonian or Johnsonian Civil Rights Bill can do this for us. If the Negro is to be free, he must move down into the inner resources of his own soul and sign with a pen and ink of self-assertive manhood his own Emancipation Proclamation. Don't let anybody take your manhood. Be proud of our heritage. As somebody said earlier tonight, we don't have anything to be ashamed of. Somebody told a lie one day. They couched it in language. They made everything black, ugly, and evil. Look in your dictionary and see the synonyms of the word black. It's always something degrading and low and sinister. Look at the word white. It's always something pure, high, and clean. But I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out, yes, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black and beautiful.
That's right. You heard it right here. He said, I'm black and I'm proud of it. Thank you for tuning in again. My name is Ugandi Jacobs. I'm sitting in for Storm and Norman tonight. He wanted me to let you know that on March the 20th, the Monday Club is having a new membership meeting at the Monday Club on Newcastle Avenue at 6 p.m. And they are encouraging all men interested in becoming members of one of the oldest black organizations in the country to come out and join the Monday Club and hear about some of the initiatives and opportunities that they have in store. So that's Wednesday, March the 20th at 6 p.m. So again, we're back on Community Crossfire. We have one of Wilmington's own living legends, Richard Johnson, discussing a little bit of everything. I like that clip of Martin Luther King about having some backbone, being a man.
Exactly.
We don't see a lot of that going on in our community these days. A lot of single mothers raising kids. A lot of us men are not in the home as we supposed to be, being the head of our household. I know we really need to turn that around. How do you begin to turn that around?
Well, first I would like to say that some of the young men, they need to find out who they are. They really don't know who they are. And once you know who you are, then that's when you become a man. You have all these young men going around, pants down, below their butts and things like that, and just being inappropriate, like talking to people any kind of way. And if they look at any of their great-grandmothers, any picture, go look at any picture of any of your great-grandparents, and just notice that picture. Look in that picture. If you look at any of your picture, all the African-American grandmothers, grandfathers, they were dressed.
Yeah.
They had suits on, ties. We were always well dressed.
Clean.
Clean. So I don't know where this trend came from.
Right.
You know, this is those rap videos that they're listening to.
Right.
And the rappers, they don't understand. They're just making music. They're trying to make money.
Do you think that the rap hip hop culture has a lot to do with the mentality of our youth today?
I think it has a lot to do with our young men. I definitely do. And I mean, it's, you know, some positive guys out there, but a lot of it is just negative. It's just not good.
Yeah.
And then you have, you know, then you have these young guys going trying to shoot people and do all these things that come from the videos.
Right.
And then you look at, I mean, older people right now, they can't even walk the streets.
Yeah.
Like your grandmother, they can't walk the streets. They got to worry about getting robbed, or their mailbox. They're scared to go to the mailbox. They're stealing their checks and things like that. I mean, these dastardly acts.
Yeah.
And this is not being a man.
Right.
And then first thing you say to one of these young men, I'm grown.
Right.
No. When you're grown, you know what that means? When you're grown, it means that you have your own. You have your own place. You have your own credit, own bank account, your own car. You own something.
Right.
When you own something, that's when you're grown.
Yeah.
So when you say you're grown, well, own something. Have something in your name then. Have something in your name if you're grown.
Well, I'm glad I'm finally grown, man. It's taken a long time, man.
I remember you told me you were going to go back to school, and I told you definitely going back if you can recall. I remember Gundy told me, I said, Gundy, you got to go back to school. Man, I'm not going back to school. I said, yes, you are.
I was getting some of this money, huh?
Yeah, I said you're going back to school, and you went back to school. So you know.
Yeah, I'm glad to say that I'm down to my last 2 semesters.
I'm proud of you.
I'm on the dean's list. I'll be completing my bachelor's of science in organizational management and political science.
That's great.
And then I'll be entering into the master's program. So I thank you for the encouragement. We're going to take a few phone calls to see what's going on.
Okay, but this is what I expect of you. I expect that from you.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you for calling.
Great show, Brother Gundy and Rich. It's Calvin Brown.
Hey, brother.
Cal, how are you, Brother Brown?
Listen, I never was good enough to make any of the basketball teams at Brown Booth Club. I just never could play that good. I like the game. You know, I'm a product of Price's Run too.
I know that.
But the thing is, I had a different experience with them guys in the park, and it was 2 different sets going on. Now, in the club, you had to have a number, you had to be able to afford a membership, and living in Riverside, it wasn't no money for that. But it's another thing that I learned from guys like Rich, Marvin Atkins, your father, Gundy. Them guys, even though they were the rebels, they were the Titans, we learned another way of being competitive. And they showed us how to be men. And I learned that from, even my own brother, Scotty Brown and Ronnie Brown. And you had to be able to give a man a fair fight back in them days. And believe it or not, people say, oh, you talking about fighting. But, I mean, it was still part of growing up and being a man.
Right.
It was clean.
Rich can identify with that, that's what gave him credibility with people.
Right.
Because we knew he might have been intellectual, but he could tag you too, you know.
Right.
And see, all that was about growing up. We didn't go reach for the pistols or the knives. We could then be men and lose in a fair fight, and that'd be it for it. But I learned that early in life and learned how to be a man, learned how to stand up for myself, be competitive. Just like Martin Luther King just said in that little snippet you put up there about never let nobody take your manhood from you.
Right.
We were men, and we learned to be competitive, do stuff, make an impact on our community. So I appreciate guys like Rich, the guys that grew up in that park. A lot of people don't give them no credit, like Chili Brown, and a lot of people that don't know them, they think, well, they might have been a hood, but I'm going to tell you, it was some unsung life lessons learned in that park that you can't get in a lot of universities right now. Just wanted to drop that on y'all.
I appreciate your call.
Thanks a lot, Cal.
Yeah, that's important. Being able to physically defend yourself.
Exactly.
Knowing how to, either de-escalate a situation verbally or with your hands, but it doesn't get into no life-threatening situation where as though you got to kill someone. No. Because I know when we was growing up, like he said, you had to fight.
Yeah.
And not saying that we're here to promote fighting and violence.
Not at all.
But fighting at least saved a life. Nowadays, these kids.
Yeah, they're running the guns.
Yeah, they're running the guns. And that's due mainly, I'm sure, to what they mimic in their actions,
Exactly.
and that's playing those video
Television,
games. You know what I mean? And television.
But
by them getting a lot of practice on the video games, which I don't care a whole lot for.
I don't play them
You
at
know,
all. Never did.
But they actually play that, so they actually believe that they can live that.
But
So
Gundy-
that's what a lot of that bloodshed really stems from on the street.
I try to tell a lot of young men this, Gundy, that intelligent men,
Hold on, please. You're up next.
intelligent men, they win their battles intellectually.
Right.
They don't get in fights. They know how to de-escalate. And
Right.
they know how to walk away, like you're saying.
Right.
So that's how you can win your battles. Just be smarter. Just walk away.
Right.
Unless someone hits you by any means necessary.
Right.
So.
Okay. Thank you for calling. How can I help you?
Good evening, Gundy. Thank you so much for the show. And Rich, peace and grace to you. This is Pastor D, buddy.
Hey, beloved.
Who's that? Oh.
Hey, how
Pastor
How you
you
doing?
doing?
How you doing, Pastor D?
Brother Rich, you possess a quality, and you alluded to it earlier, that I think is key today when you talked about passing the torch. But buried in your personality is the ability to, what the Bible says, live peaceably or dwell peaceably with all men. And I think there's something very lacking in our black organizations. When I grew up under yourself, Dennis Williams and others, and Gundy's Jazz, the black Masons, the black Elks, the black reindeers, man, I remember the black and white ball and the cable down longshoremen. It looked like it looked like the players' ball down there, man, and bow ties and just these black organizations.
Hey, beloved, that's why we coming back with Wilmington's Legends Ball, because we want to relive some of those memories with some of the legends that's still alive right now.
There you go. But these organizations were like you, Rich. They judged not, and they welcomed all of us and shared their knowledge and even their organizations. What can you say, and would you say to those organizations today? This New Trust with the Monday Club is refreshing, and what Gundy just shared is refreshing. But I would pray for the day when black men like yourself would share and would open their doors and their organizations and their hearts to all of us, despite the negativity that's put in their ears. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Crystal clear.
Yes.
Okay, I'll listen because I'm very interested in what you would share. Because these organizations are dying and they are needed. The white Masons, the white Elks, the white Shriners, etc. They still have hospitals, parades, and such. But it's beginning to seem like they got brother and we got parquet. Yeah. All right. So I'd like to hear your views on it.
All right.
Thank you.
That's a good point. You know, this past week, it was St. Patrick's Day.
Correct.
Now, I don't oppose any race.
I don't either.
I'm not anti anything.
Right.
I'm just pro-black.
Right.
And it seems as though every other nationality and culture, they can celebrate their own and it be no issue.
Right.
But the moment black folk seem like they have a momentum flowing,
Right.
it seems like there's always met with opposition or some tension.
Well, Gundy, you know, for years, I mean, you can go in any working environment, and if you see, if you go to any work environment, and there's 3 black people sitting together, it's a problem. It's a problem. But you'll see Asians sitting with Asians, Chinese sitting with
Right,
Chinese, and
right.
and such and so forth, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I can understand what you're saying about that.
Yeah.
And for instance, I have no problem with Italians being for Italians,
Right.
Jews for Jews,
Right.
and Irish for Irish. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing.
But we have to be for us.
Exactly.
Black people have to be for black people.
Yes.
Just like when they used to have the festivals
And
over.
be all right with that.
That's right, right.
Yeah.
That's when we used to have the festivals over at Kirkwood Park. I used to love them.
Yeah.
I used to love those.
Hold on one second, please. You're up next.
I used to love those festivals over there, but they stopped.
Right.
But our kids need to see that. Our kids
Yeah.
need to see people that look like them.
Yeah.
You know, our kids need to see doctors. I mean, how are you going to be a doctor if you don't see a doctor? How are
Right.
you going to be a lawyer if you don't see a lawyer?
Right.
I mean, how can you not have black history? They need to have Black History
Every day.
every day.
Yes.
Every day.
And I believe that.
And when I was at Fair School, we taught Black History. When I taught Black History, you know what they told me? They said, no, we had 90% of blacks incarcerated. So they told me, why don't you have Italian history? Why don't you have Spanish history? I said, because this is Black history. This is what we're having.
Yeah.
You have white history every day.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But our kids need to know who they are.
Yeah. Well, I looked at the fight last night with Danny Garcia.
I didn't see it.
He's a Puerto Rican.
Right.
And he went back home
Right.
for his first fight in front of his people.
Exactly.
And all you heard was, Puerto Rican this, Puerto Rican that.
Right.
I don't have anything against that.
Neither do I. I used to work at Latin American Community Center.
Yeah, that's where he come from. So
Right.
it was good for him to
Exactly.
represent that.
Exactly.
But they kept representing it as though that's the only thing that really mattered. And I do understand that there's much more to it than this. We're going to take this call. How you doing? You ready?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah. Hey, Rich, this is Wallace Williams.
Hey, Wallace, how are you?
All right. Yeah, I went to a PSU program with Rich. He graduated a couple of years before me. But
Don't tell my age, man.
you was talking about the Money Club. They had a Weema over at Kingswood, and I coached the Money Club. It only lasted a couple of years, and then, it got to be politics with the grown people. But I think we need to have Little League all over Wilmington for the young kids. We had to start young. And, you got too many grown people playing on the field. They took the field from the young people and put grown-ups out there playing softball and stuff like that. We got to get that back to the young people. Because when I came up, I played with Hicks Anderson.
And he was good.
For Hicks Anderson. He threw the baseball 2 feet away from me. But he was good on discipline. And, baseball, that was my life. I wanted to be a professional baseball player. But it kept me out of trouble. And I think we had to invest in the young people and get them out there. Have it all over the city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that way, when I played, if you went on across town, you had a teammate that lived across town.
Right.
He looked after you.
Right.
You built friendships and stuff, lifelong friendships.
Right.
I think we had to get back investing into the young people.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because this coming Tuesday, I have a very important meeting. I don't want to mention that name right now, but because the deal hasn't been confirmed. But we have a very important meeting that deals directly to what you're discussing. So hopefully it works out good, and we'll be able to bring that same momentum back to the city. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good evening.
I'd like to elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, for instance,
Hold on 1 second. You're up next.
he's talking about baseball, and I understand what he's saying. The more things our kids have to do, the better. And a person that you probably need to get involved in this is Gary Fullman. He worked for this city,
Right.
and also Brad. I can't think of Brad's name. He used to be Brad is gonna be upset when I don't know his last name, but Brad used to be a county policeman.
Okay.
These guys are excellent.
Yeah.
So if they can get these guys involved, I know they can make a go of it.
All right.
Thanks.
Hello. You're up.
Hey, Richard Johnson, this is Ken Dryden, a product of Price's Rum Park. Hey, look, it's so nice to see you on TV this evening.
Thank you.
I just called to say, hey, we want to thank you for giving back to so many of us over there, and you are the reason why we are the men that we are today. Thank you, Richard.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a just due call, because like he said, so many men are grateful to have an individual like yourself who was a father figure, a role model that molded us to be who we are today. And I want to agree with him and say thank you. That's why I feel as though it's just right and proper that we, honor you and highlight you, that you still have both of your arms, both of your legs, you still walking, you still physically fit, to raise you up, lift you up, and honor you because you're so deserving of it.
Well,
We're going to take this next call.
okay. Thanks, Gundy. Thank you.
Yes. Good evening. Thank you for calling.
How you doing, Gundy? This is Julius Cephas. How you doing, Rich?
Hey, Julius, how are you?
Hey, Julius.
How's it going?
Man, I love Rich to death. Rich did so much for me and so much for all of us at the Brown Boys Club. But I'm gonna tell you a funny story. One time, Rich, I called him a name because he made me leave, and I was running track. I was probably about 7th grade. Rich chased me from 17th Street and caught me on 30th and Market and wore me out. But I just want to say that Rich, I am the man I am because of Rich, Jack, John Tripp. But we love you to death, Rich, and definitely, I can't say enough of positive things about Rich because he did a lot for me. It meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jules. I'm proud of you also.
Okay.
How do you
that a
feel?
call?
Yes, a call coming. How you feel about hearing those comments?
Well, what it does for me, it validates that the things that I did must have been okay. And I just, I love how you guys are giving back. I know Julius is giving back. I know Calvin Brown is giving back. I see him over the barbershop. He's
Right.
always positive.
Right.
So, I'm not the kind of person that needs a lot of kudos
Right.
or trophies and things like that.
Right. Recognition. Yeah.
It's just that when I see that you guys are giving back,
Right.
that's worth more than money to me.
Right. All right, we're going to take another caller.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hello. How you doing? My name is David Green. How you doing, Gundy?
All right, how you doing?
Rich coached my brother George, my older brother George, at the club, and I kind of was like the little guy the little brother that was just watching. And when I went to the club and everything, I got to know Rich and everything. And then I saw him on the streets, and he looked out for me, and he encouraged me and everything along my life road. And then I got an opportunity also to play with the Trojans and stuff, and met some other brothers like Rich. And I just wanted to let him know, man, that he don't realize how much that little interaction that you did in my life, how it affected me to this day. I have both my parents, but the streets, how the streets are. But I just want to commend you, brother, for all the great work you do, man. And I just feel honored to have interacted with you, and, I see where I get a lot of this stuff from. That's what I just say. God bless you and your family, brother.
Thank you.
He said he know where he gets a lot of his stuff from.
Wow.
Yeah, you done rubbed off on a lot of lives, man.
Well,
you still be grabbing young boys up, man, underneath their arms and their shoulders, man.
No, I can't do that anymore. But I attribute what I did. It was done for me.
Right.
So my job was just to pass it on.
Right.
Like I told you, those guys that mentored me, I just gave back.
Right. Good evening. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, this is Kevin Hale.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Kev.
All right, how you doing? I just want to say...
Turn your TV down, Kev. Turn your TV down.
Yeah, I was saying how Rich and Jack made me a man that I am today with their discipline and the way they handled us at the boys' club. I still got people talking about when we played basketball at the boys' club, how we used to beat them up. You know what I mean? Because we was the baddest thing going. But as far as mental and everything that Rich, him and Jack both, and Trip, they're some good people. And I wish, people can do things that they are doing, that they did to us, they need help. These kids need help.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we don't have enough people out here to help these people, these young kids. That's why they ain't got nothing to do, I guess.
Right.
But I just want to thank Rich for everything he did to me, because he made me the man that I am today.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling, Kev.
You're a good man too, Gundy.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, brother.
Thanks,
Yes,
Kev.
sir, man. Love y'all.
I love you
Thank
too.
you.
Hey, but
God
Kev,
bless.
don't forget,
Yes, sir.
we're going to be having the Wilmington's Legends Ball coming up in August. We're going to be honoring those men that looked out for us growing up from the
Most
Trojans
definitely.
League as well as H. Fletcher Brown.
Just let me know when I'll be there, most definitely.
Okay, my brother. You have a good evening.
I'm proud of you, man.
Thanks, Kev.
Keep up the good work, Gun.
All right, thanks,
All right.
man. All right.
So 2 minutes.
Yeah, we're gonna take a couple more calls and get out of here. Good evening.
Hi, tell Rich Brad's last name is Pounds.
Oh yeah, thank you.
All right.
This is Elaine, thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Good evening.
What's up, Phelps?
What you say, fella?
What's up, baby? You know I had to
give it to me, fellas. Give it to me. This one, you know what? This is Chung, Wayne Miller, right? You know when Chung used to come down the park, he was cheeky-eyed, pretty, limping on one leg. He used to come tap the board on him.
Hey, Phelps, I was one of those stories of Rich gave me my first job, man, and told me to go back to school.
Right.
And, I didn't want to go back to school. I was making money, man. I didn't want to go back to school. Rich told me, he said, you can't work here. You got to go back to school. And I went back to school and I graduated, man.
Right.
I mean, and he gave me my first salary job coming out of college, man. My first salary job.
Right.
And kudos to you, Rich, man. I love you, man.
Well, thanks a lot, Chung. And you're doing a great job also.
Thank you, man.
All right, Phelps.
All right.
We're wrapping up.
Yeah, how you doing?
We 30 seconds.
Wrapping up.
Okay, how you doing? I just wanted to tell you and let you know that Rich is a wonderful person.
All
what?
right. Thank you.
She said what?
She said Rich is a wonderful person. Well, there you have it. It's another segment in the raps and the books. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and giving us your attention. And God willing, we may be back or we may not be back, but however the case may be, it's been a blast trying to get a little comfortable behind this camera. I want to thank everyone again and my guest here, Rich Johnson.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate
Thanks
all
for having
that
me.
you have done. I ain't got nothing but love for you, my brother. Matter of
Likewise.
fact, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say I love you.
Thank you.
All right?
Likewise.
Good evening.
Thank you.
To group last night, nobody else can do this for us. No document can do this for us. No Lincolnian Emancipation Proclamation can do this for us. No Kennethonian or Johnsonian Civil Rights Bill can do this for us. If the Negro is to be free, he must move down into the inner resources of his own soul and sign with a pen and ink of self-assertive manhood his own Emancipation Proclamation. Don't let anybody take your manhood. Be proud of our heritage. As somebody said earlier tonight, we don't have anything to be ashamed of. Somebody told a lie one day. They couched it in language